There's been a lot of fear-mongering going on around whether or not President Trump is going to destroy the VA, and he just signed an executive order about it, so let's dig in right now. Now, I'm going through the actual White House press release regarding this executive order, and then I'll double-check on the fact sheet, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at so that you can see this for yourselves. So Section 1 here talks about purpose and policy, where it's very interesting. There's a story here for West Los Angeles. Now, keep in mind that about 10% of the entire homeless veteran population in the U.S. is estimated to live within the greater Los Angeles area. Now, more than 100 years ago, Senator John Percival Jones and Arcadia Bandini de Stearns generously donated hundreds of acres of land that they owned in West Los Angeles on the condition that this be used to house disabled veterans, right? And this campus once featured a chapel, a billiard hall, 1,000-seat theater, and housed 6,000 veterans. But the federal government has since allowed this crown jewel of veteran care to deteriorate over the last few decades, to the point where the LA VA department, they leased parts of the property to a private school, private companies, and the baseball team for the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, which does not exactly sound like it fits into the narrative of for disabled veterans as the intended donation. Now, as of 2024, there were approximately 3,000 homeless veterans in the LA area, which again is about 10% of the total population across the country. So one of the things in this executive order is that President Trump has signed that the VA campus where homeless veterans are going to be able to go in the Los Angeles metropolitan area and seek and receive the care, benefits, and services that they are entitled to. And then they're going to get in coordination with the Secretary of Health and Human Services and HUD, Housing and Urban Development, heads of other relative executive departments or agencies, and ensure that the funds that may have been spent on housing or other services for illegal aliens are redirected to construct, establish, and maintain the National Center for Warrior Independence. So Trump has decided to take funds from elsewhere and allocate here, so we're not spending additional money, but putting it forward into veterans. They're also going to come up with a voucher program that will help facilitate all this with homeless veterans in that area. There's going to be a lot of accountability restoring going on at the VA. For example, they're planning to take action against people who should be held accountable for misconduct or anything inappropriate within the VAs, like employees that have conducted misconduct or anything that goes against standard for helping veterans. They're also going to investigate and take steps to rectify the fact that people who had been fired in the past from the VA for misconduct have been rehired within the previous administration and other previous administrations, and they're going to rectify that depending on what the original misconduct firing was for, because it does seem a little fishy that you would rehire somebody who was fired on misconduct when you're dealing with veterans in a space that's kind of known for misconduct and medical malpractice, unfortunately. And again, this is nothing against the VA. I personally believe the VA is amazing, but this is just kind of some of the stigmas they've got and things they're dealing with. So within 60 days of this order, there's going to be a report submitted to the president for how they plan to reduce wait times within the VA. And some of the things they're looking to explore are extending office hours, opening the VA up on weekends, virtual appointments, and most likely increasing the referrals that they can send elsewhere. Now we're running through the fact sheet, which is kind of the short bulleted form for reporters. These funds that were previously spent on housing for illegal aliens are going to be redirected to conduct, establish, maintain this center, the Warrior Independence Center. Also, this center is going to promote self-sufficiency through housing, substance abuse treatment, support for productive work for the veterans housed there. And the goal is to be able to house up to 6,000 homeless veterans there by 2028, which would actually be 20% of the current estimated homeless population for veterans, which is a significant uptick in what they're going to be able to do and rehabilitate. And theoretically, if this rehabilitation stuff works, which we have seen studies of it working with smaller kind of one-off, like there's a company in Colorado that does like little tiny homes and they help rehabilitate homeless vets. Assuming that this works effectively, that 6,000 may actually be a much larger than 20% of the total population, because people will be going back into the workforce and into life and off the streets permanently is the hope, right? This isn't meant to just house people permanently. This is meant to get them back out living a productive life, because service members and vets are a valuable part of our community. Now, HUD is also going to be working to utilize these vouchers for homeless veterans, and I assume that will probably go into the VA housing section that is similar to Section 8. So they have what's called the VASH program, which is the VA or the Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing. And this is essentially Section 8 specifically for veterans. And my assumption is that they're going to use those vouchers to increase the number of people who get access to the Section 8 rental properties, but they're specifically VASH program, Veteran Affairs, Section 8 tenants. Oh, and one other thing that the VA does is that apparently as of right now, New Hampshire is the only state in the country that does not have its own VA medical care facility. And this executive order states that there will be a feasibility study required for Manchester VA Medical Center to expand their services to a full service medical center within New Hampshire so that there will no longer be any states in the United States that do not have a full VA medical facility, which is great. So the critical takeaways of this are essentially that, while this is promising in paper, execution is obviously going to be something we'll have to see. We're going to have to see how they execute all this, how it works. We know that things within the government are not always as streamlined as possible. And we also know that no matter what your political views are, people are going to come out and all over this and all over the things like taking away funding from illegal aliens, because nobody's ever happy with everything. And that, it's not going to be an immediate thing because things are slow moving. That said, be a little patient, but this is progress in the right direction. And now I know that I'm going to get some flack on this video because, I used the word Trump in the headline. And if I had used the word Biden in the headline, the people who love the video would hate the video and vice versa. Just overlook the emotional political side and understand that, like I said in February in a video, coming after veteran benefits is political suicide, and people are not going to come after that. The United States has hands down the best veteran benefits in the entire world. We're the only ones who have VA hospital setups like this. We're the only ones with a VA loan. We have incredible facilities and operations set up around the world. Now, are they perfect? No. Could they be better? Yes. Are we trying to improve them? Yes. As opposed to what CNBC and MSN and whoever else, all these mainstream media people have been wanting to put out there, nobody is coming to take away and strip all your benefits as a veteran. You earned those benefits, and the country loves veterans. They take care of veterans. Now, are there going to be things that change that aren't always on the surface in our best interest? Sure, i.e. maybe we get less money here or there, but at the end of the day, the VA program is going to remain, and they're going to only make cuts, in my opinion, that benefit the program as a whole, because it has to be run efficiently. It can't just be a handout program. It needs to be able to run, and it needs to support people who really need the support in the best way possible. Now, there is a lot of room for improvement. I have lost friends over making statements about how I believe that the US does a really good job with the VA, because people don't always believe that, and they're so emotional about it, they flip out. And the end of the day, go explore the other world, like the rest of the world, the other countries, and you'll see that we really do a really bang up job on this. We are a phenomenal country when it comes to supporting service members and vets. Our benefits are unmatched, our opportunities are unmatched, and that doesn't mean that people will not end up homeless. That doesn't mean that there will be mistakes. That doesn't mean that it's perfect. There's always room for improvement. But as the old Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Similar kind of mentality, I think, belongs to when you go to the VA. If you go in the VA and you have a crap attitude and you think you're going to get screwed, or if you go in the VA and you're like, holy crap, I get all this care for free, and they're really working to help me out, in either of those two scenarios, you're going to be right because you had a predetermined emotional decision made, and that's going to be the filter, the lens that you view everything through, right? So I would just encourage you guys when you're working with the VA to be optimistic and understand that they really genuinely, people work there because they want to help you. There's a lot of veterans that just volunteer there in their free time. And so it really is an awesome program, and it's getting better. But I wanted to just address this executive order because I know, given all my comments, that there's a lot of people who have this belief that President Trump or President Biden or any president ever is coming to just screw vets. And unfortunately, I don't like it, but the media likes to pander to fear-mongering around veterans to pull on hearts and strings when really we are taken care of in this country better than we anywhere else you would be. And so I love what this country is doing for the VA. I think this is a great move to take back that land from UCLA and actually house veterans as it was originally intended, and to get rid of people who have conducted misconduct within the VA and clean house and make sure it's the best and brightest that are working with us and volunteering with us, and to move all these needles forward. I think virtual appointments is solid. I think more referrals is solid. I think extra hours is solid. I think there's a lot of awesome things going on here that are all just designed to help ensure we limit or minimize, however you want to word it, improve wait times within the VA, and or can refer elsewhere so that you're getting the best care, but in a timely manner. And I think we are making progress in a lot of ways. So just stay optimistic and support the VA in the best you can. I mean, maybe go volunteer sometimes and have a good time, right? So it's always good catching up with vets. And anyway, if you made it all the way to the end, I'm Dave. This channel for Military to Millionaire is here to do two things. We're here to give military advice and help talk about your financial benefits and your military benefits to help set service members and vets up for success both in their career and after service and help you achieve financial freedom. So if you got something out of this video, subscribe, follow along, share it with other people, and I'd love to see you succeed on your journey. Have a great day.